So, welcome back to the Heads and Tails podcast. This week, I have a follow-up guest from about 6 years ago, Christian Lezzer, who is a former Boston College and University of Central Florida football player. He's also the founder of Lezzer Realty Group, and he was named Berkshire Hathaway's top new agent and an Honor Society recipient most recently. And he was formerly on the podcast in November of 2015, and I was just telling Christian, I'm like, I listened back to that episode. I was like, oh man, I was so bad at interviewing back then, but I've gotten better. And today we're going to talk about the role that real estate has played in his transformation to life after football. So Christian, last time we talked, I think you had just retired from football at Boston College after sustaining your fifth concussion. I think you were thinking about playing baseball. So can you just bring us up to speed of what you've been up to over the last 6 years?
Yeah, so I feel like I've been kind of all over. So really, after I stopped playing football at Boston College, I tried to play baseball and trained for like 4 months to play baseball. Went to walk on, actually made the team as a walk on, and then I had to like jump through all these hurdles to get cleared to play baseball there, which I didn't anticipate was going to happen because I thought for whatever reason, Boston College considered baseball a contact sport. So like went through everything and they wouldn't allow me to play baseball either. So then I went to see Dr. Neil McGrath over at Harvard, and he's actually the head of the NFL, or was the head of the NFL Head, Neck, and Spine Committee. So did a bunch of testing with him, and spent like 2 months with him doing a bunch of stuff, and he actually cleared me to play contact sports again. So originally I was going to play baseball somewhere else, like I was going to transfer and play like I don't know, like Division II baseball, like somewhere like Slippery Rock or somewhere like in this area. And then some of the other schools reached out to me about playing football again. Like, 'cause I knew that they were GAs, other places, just kind of talked to them briefly. I said University of Arizona and Central Florida, and kind of got in contact with them. And then I decided I was going to try to play football again. Cause I was like just in the time where like there's a couple other people like I saw that were like, had the same type of issues and then transferred to play other places. So kind of looked into that, and that's what I ended up doing. And I was going to go to the University of Arizona and play there. And then like probably like 2 weeks before, one of Central Florida's GMs like, "Oh, come down for a visit," or graduate assistants, and then GAs. And asked me to come down for a visit, and I did, and met with Coach Frost and everything. And they offered me a scholarship. So I transferred there. This time, like I'd never heard of UCF really because they were 0-12 the year before. So like I was just like, oh, it seems like a fun school. Like it's a nice area. So went down there. Loved the visit. It was awesome. And then I committed there and then transferred there to play.
Awesome. Yeah. So did you say it was Dr. McGrath?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was it about like what you were like experiencing? Like why did he clear you to play? Like what about your symptoms? Did they go away or what? Like
Um, I'm not sure. I just did pretty much everything like because I wasn't even like trying to play a real contact sport again at the time. It's like more so like just baseball. And like I did whatever, all the testing they had me do. Like, gosh, I don't even remember some of the stuff, but I mean, it was pretty extensive, like a bunch of the testing and stuff like that. And at the end, he just was like, look, he's like, I think that, it's kind of a personal decision. It's up to you. He said, I think you can play again. He's like, there are risks in doing that. And he's like, that's kind of up to you to decide what you want to do moving forward. But he said, I think that you can try to play a contact sport again if that's what you want to do, but you just have to understand the risks and everything with it. But I'm not going to like prevent you from doing that or say that you can't do that. So at that time, I kind of thought, I was like, well, I still kind of, because I started to feel better and I was like, oh, I feel pretty good. Like, cause I wanted to still play, like my body was still good. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I felt, like I still had a lot left in the tank. And then that's kind of why I decided to go that route. And then unfortunately, when I went to UCF, transferred there, redshirted my first year because that was the last year of the Division I and Division I transfer rules where you had to sit out a year. And I didn't redshirt when I was at Boston College. So I used my redshirt year that year. Then the next year was the year that we went 13-0 and beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl. But during camp that year, I had another concussion. And that one really wasn't bad. Like I was okay, but they kind of just shut everything down for me at that point. They were like, yeah, that's it. So that's kind of what ended up happening when I went there.
So you didn't end up really playing much after that concussion?
Oh, no, they shut it down. Like I was done.
Oh, really? Because like going
Yeah,
into,
yeah.
you know,
That was one that was like, I mean, yeah, it's like disappointing because I felt like I really could have played. Like I was okay, but like there was just like there because of everything that happened beforehand and transferring there, they were like it's just too much of a risk. So
right.
kind of got the axe on everything, but it kind of sucked because I felt like I could still play. I felt good and everything. It was just kind of the situation, but I understand, and honestly, it's probably like in the long term, it's probably a good thing. But that's kind of what I ran into.
Yeah, in the moment, it was a tough pill to swallow, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you were at Boston College, you were playing safety, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then they switched you to inside linebacker, uh,
Yeah.
which to me, it's like if you're trying to avoid concussions, like that probably wouldn't have been my move. But
Yeah, yeah. It was UCF was awesome. I loved every second of UCF. I think UCF's the way what they this scheme they did defensively really probably didn't fit me as much. You know what I mean? Like at Boston College, like I played more of a rover, which was like in Coach Don Brown's defense, which is kind of like a hybrid linebacker safety. Where I'm a little bit undersized, like I'm a little bit bigger for a safety, but a little smaller for a linebacker. So that was like kind of perfect for me, where like I was kind of out in space, didn't have to do a ton of man to man. UCF safeties were like man to man most of the time, and then so that wasn't like my specialty there. But also when I went there, that was probably the best fit for me in their defense. Was middle linebacker, so I had to put on like 30 something pounds and everything. I didn't feel the best doing that, but it was what it was. And then but I guess everything happens for a reason. I'm here now, so.
yeah, do what you got to do, man.
Mm.
Um, so after that concussion that you suffered at Central Florida, you said you still kind of felt fine afterwards, but like, what was it like? Were you still like a part of the team, like going forward, like as
Oh
you
yeah,
before you
yeah. I was at
graduated?
every
So
game on the sidelines. It was awesome. It was actually pretty cool to experience that from like a different perspective because I was at every game on the sidelines, with my teammates and everything. From winning the AAC championship to going to the Peach Bowl against Auburn in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome there in Atlanta. It was really cool experience that I wouldn't trade for anything.
how did you kind of like avoid the FOMO or like feeling like you're missing out? Like,
Oh, I did all the time. Like there were some times, it's just like, kind of human nature. You'd be at practice, you're like, damn, like, well, I'm glad I'm not out there doing that today, like during conditioning drills. But then there's like other times, like, during the AAC championship game, during pregame, then after the game, and in different moments, I was like, damn, like I really, really wish I was out there, or at least had an opportunity to be out there. You know what I mean? And then, but it's just something I had to get used to.
so did you have like a lot more free time at this point in time? And then if so, like once you basically it was decided that you weren't going to play football anymore, but still be a
Mhm.
part of the team, did you kind of shift your time towards other things? Obviously, there's school, but like what other interests did you have at the time that you kind
Uh-huh.
of started to pursue because you had more time without football?
Yeah, that was really the first kind of time for me in years. It was like a different experience, like a real college experience then at that point. Because obviously, I still had obligations with football to like be at practice and even though I wasn't doing anything, I was just kind of like there, just hanging out with the guys and in meetings and at the games. But yeah, I had so much free time. Like I didn't like have workouts to do anymore. I didn't have the afternoon meetings, and different things like that. Cause I really went to the facility like kind of in the morning and did all that stuff. And then obviously, whatever we had throughout the week and then team meals and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, it was so much free time. Cause I mean, when I played, I mean, you got to like have school class, like workouts, school class, or I'm sorry, that's the same thing, but class. And then you go back for meetings, then you have another workout, and then, whatever team obligation they have for that night, whether it be a speaker come in or something like that. Like a lot of that stuff, like was a little more lax for me at the time. Like I didn't go to like some of the stuff in the afternoon, so I had a lot more free time. And during that time, I kind of really focused on like some things that I wanted to do, like I started working out, but like not to the extent of like what the team workouts were anymore. I lost a lot of weight. Like I think when I stopped playing, I was like 238 pounds, and I went down to like 195. So lost a
Oh
ton of
wow.
weight. Yeah, that was like my first focus of like when I stopped playing was just to lose all that weight because I didn't feel good. I don't think my body was meant to carry that much extra weight. And then I just kind of just like I got into just kind of like reading a lot and different things. There wasn't really anything in particular that I did like after I stopped playing. It was just kind of like that free time to be able to do some things that I wanted or relax.
Okay, great, man. Before we kind of move away from the football stuff,
Mhm.
I forgot to ask you, like, did you go into Central Florida like when you were still playing before the concussion?
Yeah.
Uh, did you like approach the game any differently? Like knowing that you had these concussions, so you're like, maybe
Mhm.
like I'm not gonna stick my face in there, or maybe I'm gonna, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that was always in the back of my mind, but like once they threw me in a middle linebacker, you don't even have that time to react when you have like a Division I running back running at you through the hole. Like it's so no, like I kind of had honestly, if anything, like I kind of had to be more aggressive and change things in terms of that perspective because it's a completely different position.
Yeah, it's like a kill or be killed
Yeah, like
position for
if
sure.
you're on your heels in middle linebacker, you're gonna get crushed.
Yeah, you'll get a concussion a different way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, what did you end up getting your degree in at Central Florida?
So I was a double major at Boston College. I majored in communications psychology. When I went to University of Central Florida, there's I forget what it even was, but there was some weird thing. But I ended up switching to interdisciplinary studies because that was like where the degree where most of my transfer credits transferred over. So I got a degree in interdisciplinary studies, which is pretty much just like a broad degree, um, like a little mix of everything there. And then after I graduated, I went and worked at one of my dad. My dad is a pretty big company, and I went and worked at one of his stores in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Which, for people that aren't familiar with Pennsylvania, that's like kind of outside of Philadelphia. So worked there for 2 years, and it just really wasn't like what I wanted to do. You know, it was like a 6:30 a.m. to like 5 p.m. job every day, just like in an office or going out and doing things, and construction type work. Um, just really didn't like it. And after 2 years, I decided I was going to get my real estate license because I always like saw some of my friends. I saw some of the people that like I played football with, like got their real estate license and they did pretty well with it. Like, and I talked to them and they're like, "Oh, I love it. Like, you got to look into this." And that's what I did. So I got my license. It's really easy to get your real estate license. It's really, really hard to like make money once you have your license and you know, because there's a difference between selling like 6 homes a year versus selling 40 or 50. And so got my real estate license, kind of hit the ground running. Off. I got into the real estate like at the right time too, when the market was just blowing up, and it still is. And haven't really looked back since then. It's been awesome.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So basically, you just saw other former teammates having success in that
Yeah.
industry, and you're like, yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Hmm.
Um, so you said it's easy to get your real estate license, not so easy to like make a living off of it. So
Yeah.
what do you credit to your success? I know I read this one story on your Instagram page about, I think something like you rallied up some friends, you like painted a house because it
Oh
was
yeah.
to close the next day or something. Like it was like a contingency. So I mean, obviously you're a hustler, but
Yeah.
what do you think led to your success? You've only been doing it for a year and a half or so, or what?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I mean, there's so many different things. That's why, like, when I first got into real estate, like, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be easy," and it's not like it is. It's not hard, but there's so many things that go into it. Like, for example, like the story that you're talking about that I was explaining. You know, what happened there is because there's different loan types. You know, for example, like FHA, VA have different requirements than whether it be conventional or something like that. And a lot of what I deal with predominantly around in this particular area. I mean, other than like conventional, but most of the time I say it's FHA. Um, but yeah, in order for some of those loans to go through, like they have to have requirements met. And what happened was this guy was older and he like couldn't do all this painting and stuff like that. And in order to meet the timelines, we had to go out and do it ourselves because there was a trickle effect down the line. Like if this deal didn't close tomorrow, then these people couldn't buy their next house, and then that seller couldn't buy their next house. And I was representing all of them down the line. So kind of we had to take it upon ourselves and go out there and scrape paint off window seals and repaint them. Looked absolutely terrible. It didn't look good by any stretch, but we had to do what we had to do to get the loan done, and we closed the next day, and then we had 3 closings in a row there, so it was a good day.
Yeah, that's great, man. So, can you give? Say we're talking to
Hmm.
guys or gals who are finishing their athletic careers and thinking about getting into real estate? Like, what's your advice to them going forward from that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an awesome, awesome career to get into. I mean, another reason I love real estate so much is like one of those things like you get what you put in. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have set hours. It depends what company you go with. I mean, some companies require different things, but like, you don't have set hours. You don't have, specific things that you have to do every single day. It's you get what you put in. So you can wake up at, in the morning and you can get all your stuff done and you can hustle throughout the day and you can make a ton of money, or you can do the bare minimum and make no money. And I kind of think that tied into a little bit with athletics and what I was used to in terms of, it's not going to be handed to you. You got to get what you put in. You're going to make as much money as much as you work. And that's kind of like, I see that all the time with like different realtors and stuff like that. And I think if you have an athletic background, or you come, I think a lot of those people understand it more and they do a lot better, because it's easy to get caught up when you wake up every single day and you're like, oh, well, I can just take today off, or do this, and maybe only sell one or two or homes a month or something like that. Versus if you're really hustling every single day, like right now, my team is closing probably, I would say 7, 8 deals a week now. I mean, we've sold, yeah, just since just me alone, since January, I've sold 54 homes now. And I just hired 2 agents. We're about to hire 3 more, so we're really booming right now, and hope to expand and be one of the biggest teams in Central Pennsylvania here in a year or so.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude. And in such a short period of time, and I think it's a credit to your hustle and probably leadership.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
yeah, so tell us a little bit more about the Lezzer Realty Group that you started.
Yeah, so
Did you hire athletes too, or?
yeah, actually, yeah. So they're not. So I just hired one guy. His name's Tyler Knoll. He just finished up playing professional baseball. Kerrigan, we have Kerrigan Veras, who is a former athlete. She played softball, and then Andrew Starr, who's a former athlete. He played. I want to say he played baseball in college. I think I'd have to ask him again, but he played, I think, like Division 2 or maybe it's Division 3 baseball. So all of them did have an athletic background. They're all younger guys that kind of are, and girls that are motivated. I thought they kind of did well with like social media type stuff, because social media right now in real estate's like where it's at. Like pretty much like 85 to 90% of what I do is via Facebook, which is insane because most of the buyers are on Facebook and everything like that. But that's kind of a different story. But yeah, I kind of had like a mindset of like what I wanted from the agents on my team, to be very motivated, to be, not to say younger because it doesn't matter if they were old or young, but kind of had that same vision of being good with social media, being motivated, being able to speak well, being charismatic and all that stuff. And those are kind of the agents that I hired, and we have a couple more we're going to hire as well. So I'm pretty excited about it. And to be able to have the opportunity to be able to start my team, like start my own real estate team, my second year in the business is, was an opportunity I'm very thankful for. The Berkshire Hathaway allowed me to go that route. Also, kind of was in at the right time because I think they're just now starting to where, in order to start a team in Pennsylvania, you have to have your associate broker's license. And I know that they were talking about that before COVID, and then that's kind of why I wanted to jump on it now, so I could kind of be grandfathered in before anything happened. Because starting your team was real. It's like not an easy thing to do. Like I kind of just thought was like, oh, like I'll start my own team, but there's a lot more that goes into it, because now like they have to look to me for everything, and I have to provide marketing and different things, as well as making sure everybody's doing the right thing and staying on track. And it's been awesome so far. It's going really, really well, but there was definitely some adjustments that had to be made there in the beginning. And just really thankful for the opportunity to be able to start my own team though, in my second year in the real estate industry.
Yeah, so how does that work with so it's like Lezzer Realty Group under Berkshire Hathaway?
Correct. Real estate is like kind of like franchises, like Domino's or Pizza Hut is kind of how I explain it. Like a lot of them are like, there's a lot of real estate companies like under the kind of the same branch, but some of them are individually ran and operated. Now our office in Lezzer Realty Group, like we're just going to be in like a satellite office in Clearfield for the time being, because to actually run the office and operate the office alone, you do have to have your broker's license. And I don't have my broker's license yet. I have to have my real estate license in Pennsylvania for 2 years, full before I can sit for the broker's exam. So I'm getting there pretty close. So I'm definitely going to do that at the end of hopefully this year or beginning of next. And then I'll be able to do that. But right now we're just kind of Lezzer Realty Group that I run and operate under the Berkshire Hathaway head.
Cool. Yeah. So like, I guess like, how does a Berkshire Hathaway become a Berkshire Hathaway and like not be under someone else?
Yeah. It's kind of it's kind of just the way I would explain it is just kind of like how franchises work.
Okay.
Like it's like Domino's or Pizza Hut, and there's like a Domino's in New Jersey or some town in New Jersey or something like that, and it's just individually owned and operated, but it's under the guys of Berkshire or Domino's. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
That's exactly how real estate is. Because once you have your broker's license, then I can go out and start my own company that's not under Berkshire Hathaway.
Gotcha.
Then
Okay.
I could have Lezzer Realty Group, just Lezzer Realty, but because I don't have my broker's license yet, I have to be under the broker of the brokerage of Berkshire Hathaway. So I guess that's probably a better way to explain that.
Yeah, that was my question for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Perfect.
have to have my broker's license first before I can do my own thing aside from Berkshire Hathaway. But Berkshire Hathaway has been so good to me. I'll probably only get my associate broker's license to stay under them. Because if you have your own thing, I mean, there's so much expense that goes into it, and the kind of the reason I wanted to stick with Berkshire or a different company is because like you're kind of under that head there, and they take care of everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so this seems like so you graduated from UCF in
Mhm.
what year?
2018.
2018. So it's been 3 years. So explain that 3 year time frame. Like, what was your? Everyone calls it the transition of life after sports.
Yeah.
I call it the transformation because I feel like if you just transition, then you're kind of just like
Mhm.
sitting there waiting for something to like
Yeah.
happen. Versus transforming, you're out there, you're doing something, you're selling houses, you're doing something to transform your life.
Yeah.
So what has that those 3 years been like, and when did it turn from a transition and turn back into a transformation, and where are you at today?
Yeah, I mean, there was so much like ups and downs that went into it. So actually, I'll start from the beginning. So when I graduated UCF, because I did a couple other things actually in between there before I got my real estate license. So I graduated from UCF and then immediately like knew like had some job offers like because I applied different places and decided to go and work for my dad's company kind of outside of Philadelphia there. Worked there for about 2 years, and I remember every single day I was like, I hate this. Like it's like I gave it like the good try, like you know what I mean. I was there for like a year, and well, I was really there for 2 years, but like after a year, I was like started to be like I can't do this for the rest of my life. So then I decided to leave there, left that, and then I actually kind of had a gap for a little bit. Knew I wanted to do real estate license, but I actually during this period when I was getting my real estate license, I worked as a substitute teacher at my the high school I grew up at, and then the kind of the surrounding areas. So that was kind of fun. It was different. Then for a little bit, I was like, well, maybe I want to go back and get my master's degree and get into teaching because I was a volunteer football coach at the high school during that period, and then. I really did like that. I mean, that was fun. That was something I really liked doing every single day. But then I ended up getting my real estate license after that, and then kind of jumped into that. And then really ever since I got my real estate license and kind of closed my first deal, I haven't even looked back. I mean, because it's just fun. I mean, you make your own hours, you do your own thing. I mean, you get what you put in. You can either make like $1 million a year or $0 a year, just depending on how hard you work. So, I mean, I really, really like it though, so far though.
Really cool. So that's interesting you say that because a lot of athletes that I interviewed, they have all they're kind of jumping around, like feeling things out, seeing what they
Yeah.
like, and then something eventually
Mhm.
sticks. So what advice would you give to athletes that are in that transition phase to get to the transformation? Is it just trying a bunch of different things, or
I would say like just find like a couple things that you like. Like you just want to make sure what you're doing is something that you can grow in and then, really enjoy though, too. That's the most important part because like, the job that I worked at originally when I first left college was a really good job. I mean, I made good money, but I just hated it. I didn't like that like constraint of like the 6 a.m. till 5 p.m. every single day in an office, like sometimes leaving, it's every single day. It was like Groundhog Day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week if I had to go in on Saturdays. And, I just imagine myself doing that 52 weeks a year for the rest of my life. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Um, so that's kind of why I decided to leave that. But that's what I would just say is just kind of go off your passions, what you like to do, find something you really like to do, and find out what you're good at and stick with it.
Did you in that job that was working for your dad's company,
Yeah.
when you went there every day, did you feel like you were like learning things or were challenged or not
Um,
not
I
so much?
felt I definitely was learning things. I mean, because there was something like new every single day, but I didn't feel like I don't know how to explain it. Like I didn't feel maybe challenged to the point of like for example, like the thing why I wanted to switch jobs and wanted to get into real estate is I always wanted a job where like it doesn't matter, you get what you put in. And kind of with my dad's company when I was there, it didn't matter if I was the absolute best at what I did, or the worst at what I did. I mean, if you're the worst at what you do, you're probably gonna get fired. But the best of what you do, or towards the bottom of what you do, you're getting paid the same. You know what I mean? You're getting now there's like incentives and stuff there, but I'm just saying overall, like that type of job, like, I wanted something that like, if I did really well, if I put in extra work, if I did, so much more, then I would kind of, see the benefits of that and kind of reap the rewards of that. You know what I mean? Versus like, for example, like when I was going to be a teacher or like thought about, getting into teaching for a little bit, like I kind of saw that like, it didn't matter if you're the absolute best or the worst, like you're still getting paid the same. You have the same hours, you have the same day. It's kind of the same thing over and over again. Um, and that's kind of why I didn't want to go that route. And then that's also really why I wanted to get into real estate because I always wanted a job where I make my own hours, I do my own thing, and you make as much as you put in. And I love doing
Yeah,
it. I mean, it's fun. Like there's no, you know what I mean? It's stressful at times, but it's like challenge. Like every single day is challenging. I mean, every single day I wake up and I'm like, okay, well, this is gonna be an easy day. And then by like, 8:30 in the morning, 10 in the morning, like there's like 10 calls that are like, oh, this needs done. This I need this in by 4 p.m. I need this by 6. We need this to be able to close tomorrow. Oh, this deal might fall through. You got to figure something out here. I mean, it's just a constant like challenge every single day, and I love it.
yeah, and I think that's a good piece of advice for athletes who are listening to this in that, you know, maybe look for something where there is incentive, to
Yeah.
to get after it
Yeah.
versus
Mhm.
show up and do
Yeah.
nothing or show up and kill it and nothing will really be different. That's
Yeah,
not
and it
the
really
athlete
depends on the type
mentality.
of
Yeah.
person you are too. I mean, assuming most athletes kind of have that competitive nature and that competitive background, so I would assume most people on that, you know, kind of end would be kind of in that similar category there. But it really depends on what you like. I mean, if you're the type of person that likes to go in every day and have the same routine and do the same thing, and you get to leave at 5 p.m. and that's it for the rest of the day, then maybe that type of job is good for you. But if you want something more than that and you want to be able to kind of make your own hours, do your own thing, and get what you put in, then obviously a career like real estate or something else is going to be more beneficial for you.
Great. So you have a couple brothers too that are athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So have you given them any like tips on like preparing for life after football or after their sport's over, like while they're playing, or just based off of your own experiences?
Oh yeah, I mean, so many different things from playing to after life, or after football. But my middle brother Ryan, he just graduated from Western Michigan. He played wide receiver there, was a scholarship athlete there.
Under
And
Coach Fleck initially?
no, he was with gosh, who is that? Whoever their head coach is now, I don't even remember his name. But no, there was the coach right after PJ Fleck.
Okay.
Um, and then he actually just graduated. He's moving to Tampa Bay, Florida, and working at a commercial real estate firm, Marcus and Millhap. So he's getting into real estate kind of on a bigger scale and commercial. And then my youngest brother Jake had about 4 to 5 Division I offers out of high school, and then he decided that he's going to the Hun School in Princeton, New Jersey next year. So
Okay.
he's going to go to the Hun School next year for a year of prep school to better prepare himself academically and athletically before kind of moving on to the collegiate level there.
Cool. What advice did you give them, like football wise? Like anything in relation to like staying healthy and stuff?
Um, they all play different positions. Like Ryan and Jake play receiver, so it was a little bit different than kind of what I was used to. They're um, they do things kind of a little bit differently than I did. So they kind of just followed, my footsteps and learned, what to do, what not to do. Ryan probably gives Jake more advice than I do because, like, I don't know some of the things like receiver wise. Like, if I try to tell Jake something, he's probably like, "Oh, shut up," Versus Ryan actually was a Division I receiver before him, so probably takes Ryan's advice a little more than me. But definitely in terms of like life outside of football and stuff like that, I can definitely help them with that transition and stuff because I've been through it.
Right. Have you
Mhm.
given them any specifics on that, or kind of
Um,
wait until they're done?
well, Ryan, because he just graduated actually just recently. And, his thing was, he didn't know what he wanted to do originally. He didn't want to know if he wanted to come back and, you know, work for my dad's company just to kind of start out for a little bit or anything like that. And I was like, Ryan, I was like, I'm telling you right now, I was like, because Ryan's even more competitive than I am in certain things. So I was like, you're going to want to do your own thing. And so he, kind of searched around. He liked real estate because he came with me a little bit, and I kind of showed him like how some things work, and he loved it. So that's why he interviewed a bunch of different places and got a job at Marks and Millhap, commercial real estate firm in Tampa, Florida. So he's going to move down there, and I think he starts like at the end of August. So he's pretty excited about that. That's a different animal though. Commercial and residential are completely different. I'm licensed to do both residential and commercial, but it's a lot different in central Pennsylvania versus like if you're in like an actual city, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I have a
So
buddy that does commercial real estate too, and yeah, he makes it seem like it's like a different beast for sure.
yeah, it's way different than commercial. I mean, here it's a little bit similar because I'm in central PA, so there's like some smaller scale stuff. I mean, commercial, but you're not dealing with like a skyscraper, like a $40 million building. You know what I mean?
Right. So
Mhm.
your dad's company, he started that from scratch?
So it was his grandfather's. He immigrated here from Italy, and then I'm sorry, his father immigrated here from Italy, and then it was like really just like a small like farm type store, like equipment type store in Kerwinsville, Pennsylvania, and then expanded really really quick. And really, I think when my dad took over, they only had a couple stores. I think they had like 4 or 5, and now they have 14 retail locations, 3 door manufacturing facilities, one truss plant, one kitchen and bath design center. So they're pretty big now. I think they were actually the 36th largest lumber company in the world at one point.
Oh wow.
And that was just last year. So they're doing really really well right now.
Yeah, so you guys have like had an example to follow in like a guy who hustles and
Oh yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
does
He was always
his own
honest
thing.
about doing this or that and putting that extra work and doing different things. And like when I started working at his company, like I started out for like the first 6 months, I worked at the truss plant, then I worked in the yard before I even moved into the office. So I really started to kind of, you know, um, um, with the manual labor type jobs before I got to move into the office. But I mean, it was rough. I mean, because the truss plant hours, I think it was like what was it? It was 3:30 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. They were 12
Oh
hour. I'm
wow.
sorry, no, it was 10. It was their 10-hour shift. So whatever that would be. So maybe it was whatever that would be though. But it was rough. Like it sucked. Like I hated every second of it.
What did your dad give you any advice? Like what did he say when you said like, "Yeah, dad, I think I want to like go do real estate."
He was really cool about it. He was really understanding. He was like, the reason he put us in those positions at first were like, hey, this is just like what you got to do to start out and learn the ropes, and I want you to learn like every step of the way from the ground up and different things. But after a while, I was just like, gosh, like I don't know if I can. It wasn't like the job that it was just the industry. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a slow moving, old school type industry in like building materials and construction, and it was just something that like I really just didn't kind of want to do anymore. And he was really really cool about the transition. He was like, "Hey, you have to do what's best for you." He's like, "I completely understand that," and yeah, he was really really cool about it. And he was really supportive about it too. So he does a ton of. Actually, one of the reasons I got into real estate too is because I always had an interest in real estate because he is a really really big commercial development company. It's actually bigger than Lezzer Lumber, but he does all sorts of real estate. Most it's almost all commercial. Like he does like residential units and like student housing and condos and stuff like that. I always drove with him to different places, and I've always had an interest in that. But I mean, that's like kind of down the road. That's kind of what I want to get to. But I'm in the very early stages of doing this. But that's also commercial side too. So I am licensed to do commercial, but I have not done any deals with my dad yet. I hope to someday. But we're not on that scale yet. So
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's cool to hear about kind of
yeah,
your dad's background and how it influenced you guys and
yeah,
stuff, and
yeah,
makes a lot of sense actually now. So,
yeah.
uh, yeah. So as we wrap up the interview here,
Mhm.
I asked all my guests. I don't even remember if I asked you this 6 years ago, but what's your definition of toughness, and has it changed since the last time we spoke 6 years ago?
Yeah, I think I mean, to an extent, like, when I think about toughness, like, I think there's like football toughness and then life toughness. You know what I mean? I think they do kind of tie in together, but I also think they're separate at the same time. Like, I think, like, when I was playing football, I think toughness is like, you can get drilled and fall down and get crushed on a play and get back up and be okay and make a play the next play. Versus like now, I think it's kind of more of like mental type toughness. You know what I mean? And being able to handle different things and kind of figure out the adjustments and be able to move forward. Like, for example, in real estate, like toughness to me is like, that perseverance. Like every single day, like I'm stressed to the max. There's a billion things that I have to figure out. And, there's some things that don't always go my way, but I kind of have to do damage control and be able to make the most of the situation. To me, like that's toughness now. And I think, it's different than what the toughness I originally thought, like when I played. But I also think they kind of build off each other too. Like if I wouldn't have went through that kind of the football and the meetings and the workouts and the football and all that stuff, I don't think that I would have been at this point today, and I certainly wouldn't have been as successful as I am right now without going through that. So I do think that there's a tie between all of that. I just think it's kind of a little bit different now, where it's more mental than what is all mental now. It's not physical, But I definitely think that kind of has changed my definition of toughness a little bit.
Yeah, man. Toughness is scraping paint off of walls at whatever time in the middle of the night so you
Yeah,
can close the next day, right?
yeah. I didn't want to do that for 4 hours of my night, but you got to do what you got to do. So,
Yeah,
but we got the deal done.
that's toughness, man. Well, thank you so much for coming back on and giving us an update on how you're doing and what you're up to, and giving a little bit or shining some light into the world of real estate for athletes to see if that's something that they want to dip their toes in. Actually, you probably can't dip your toe in. You probably got to go all in. But
Oh yeah, well that was a big thing too. If you're going to do real estate, you can't do it part time. Like if you actually want to make money, you got to be full time. You got to go all in.
right. Also good advice. I'm glad I said
Yeah.
that thing. All right, brother. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I hope all is well.